Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my YouTube channel and podcast, helping other people evolve. Today, I have my new friend Charles on here. Hi, Charles. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. So, I always like to share with people how I meet, people that are on my podcast, because people are like, how could you know that many people? Well, I do know a lot of people, but God has a way of putting people in my life. Now, everybody that follows me knows that I'm a believer, and I know that God has done so much for me. And, I tell people, whatever your faith is, whatever your belief is, the universe, whatever you believe is what you believe. But I know that it's God. And I've been following Charles. I've been following you for a while on Instagram. I don't even know how long ago, and what happened, Charles, is I happened to see a couple of your posts and I was like, wow, this is a positive, encouraging, uplifting person. So I'm going to follow him. So I just want to say that your content is always really good. It's very uplifting and very powerful. And so I'm blessed to know you. I always tell people, that once they're on my podcast, you're my friend forever. You're stuck with me, whether you like it or not. Usually I don't have too many complaints about that. So that's a nice thing. So how's the weather
Thank
in
you.
South Carolina you're in?
South Carolina.
Yeah. How's the weather down there?
It's great today if you can get past the pollen.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's it's really nice spring-like weather, but it's just once you go outside, you come back in, you got all this yellow stuff on you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's probably a lot of that right now too, with it being springtime. So
It's a
I'm
lot.
up, I'm up in Ohio, and we have the most bipolar weather I've ever seen in my life up here. Like 60 one day, 20 the next, snow one day, sunshine and breezy the next. So it's been an interesting winter. But for those of you that don't know what Hope is, let me share a little bit what my mission and vision with Hope is. My mission and vision with Hope is just to help people know that they don't struggle alone in their struggles. I feel like so many people are at home, laying in bed, sitting on the couch, just feeling like they're all alone in whatever struggle they're going through. And unfortunately, people go through struggles, right? But fortunately, like Charles and myself, we can get to a point where we get through those struggles and we're living a better, happier life through that. And I just hope that maybe you'll hear Charles' story today and you'll get up and take a deep breath and walk outside and say, if Charles got through his things and he's still going, I can get through mine. So Charles, I know that a couple of your things are you struggled with addiction and some weight problems throughout your life. So if maybe we can just kind of go back to like where Charles grew up, who Charles' family and things like that, and when your addiction started, basically.
Okay. Well, growing up, my family, everybody's like it's real tight knit. We like to get together, and that's kind of like where my drinking like actually started. Everybody in my family pretty much drinks. And so, like at a young age, I was like probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5, and just seeing adults drink, and I would go up to them, ask for sips, and started out just getting sips of beer from the older adults in the family. And from there, it was like I got to the point to where I was sneaking it on my own. We have like cookouts and stuff. And that's when I first just realized that I liked it. It was like I like the feeling because I'm a fairly quiet person. I stay to myself a lot. But when I started drinking, it was like, I was like very outgoing. And so it was like easy for people to tell something going on. That's how I ended up getting caught all the time with drinking, because I would just turn into a different person. I would be more outgoing. I'd be laughing, giggling. And so but I just liked it. So I kind of developed dependence, just on that feeling from that, at a young age. I don't think I was addicted to it, but I just like to have that like confidence. I wasn't like the shy person that I always been. And so it's just like from there, I went like when I started going to high school, and they would have events like, just like dance or whatever, or football games. And I'll try to find ways to get alcohol so I can go out there so I could be that different person when, I'm away, seeing people from school.
Right.
And from that, it just kept growing, just like I never really learned how to be social without it, since like early on. And from high school, and then like when I got graduated from high school and started working, I was doing the same thing. I would go out, hang out, and I would have to have something to drink. But the drinking got heavier. It was like the same amount that I was drinking back in high school didn't do anything. And so it was just like I would drink so much till it would carry over to the next day. And also during that time, I didn't realize it, but it was like, even though I was getting that happy high when I would drink, it was like it was kind of carrying over to like the next day I would feel low.
Mm-hmm.
So that would lead to me, okay, instead of me waiting until I go out again to drink, I'm drinking, early in the day just so I can feel, just to get up, with my day.
Yeah.
And it just continued. And then with that came other issues when I started day drinking and stuff. Started having issues with work. I would drink all night, wouldn't show up to work. And eventually, it led to me losing a job. I was working at the post office for 13 years,
Mm.
and I lost my job because I wasn't going to work. I would miss one day and turn one day into like a week because just I
Mm.
would feel so much anxiety after I would miss the day, and so I would just stay home for the whole week just drinking. And then finally something happened. Maybe I'll get courage to go back, but eventually, they got tired of it. Let
Mhm.
me go. Let me go. Thank God I got my job back now, but
Oh,
it was
good.
a long time that I went, from losing my job there, that I didn't have a job, and it was a struggle for those years, and I was still still partying, drinking, numerous DUI arrests, and just like took a big toll on my relationships. Like I have two kids, and the mother of my kids, she couldn't deal with it no more. I mean, I would go through points to where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop drinking. Last for about 3 months. It's like always 3 months is like always the magic number for me. I don't know why I couldn't never get past that like 90-day point, but I
Yeah.
would stop. I would do good, but it was just like I would never get in my mind that, you know, that I can't drink or that I had a real drinking problem. It
Mm.
was more of like me thinking, how can I drink safely? How can I drink without getting a DUI arrest? Or how can I like drink and then still get up and go to work in the morning? It
Right.
was just like I just didn't want to separate the drinking part. I just like, okay, I'm gonna find a way. And I
Mhm.
did that for so many years of just trying to do controlled drinking. And it would work for a while, but it'd just be that time where I drink too much, get in a
Right.
car accident. Like I would do Uber, and I would do good with Uber. Then sometimes I would get so drunk, I would do Uber, come home, and then leave and go back out again. Like how crazy is that? But
Oh, yeah.
it's just like once I start drinking, it's just I have no sense of you know
Right.
of me being safe for
Right.
myself or anybody else. It's just
Yeah.
like I just want to do what I want to do. So,
Yeah.
and that's a problem in itself. Other people can drink and
Right.
they know, okay, I had enough, let me go home.
Right.
But no, me, I don't want the night to end.
No, exactly. I'm gonna interject here for a minute. I want to go back a little bit because when you were talking about your family and drinking, and that, so my family was the same way, right? It was an Irish Catholic family that's all they did was drink, and the same thing, like I was grabbing beers for them when I was a little kid and taking sips here and there and stuff like that. And as, like you said, you get out of your shell and all of that, but that was like normal, right? That was just
Yeah,
what we thought was normal. I mean, to me, drinking and playing poker and family fights and everything in my family that was normal. Like,
yeah,
so as I got into my teenage years and was drinking and things, it was still just normal to me. And I think that's where we come into play after our sobriety, that we have to change that dimension and that circle of our family to be like, no, this is not normal. It's not what we're
no,
supposed to do all the time, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So another thing that you said, let me think here for a minute about the whole work thing, what a blessing it is that you were able to get your job back, but to think about, getting up in the morning and being so hungover and so sick that you're just like, nah, I'm not going to go to work today. I'm just going to drink again to feel better. Right.
Yeah,
And it's crazy how that insanity comes to us. Like,
yeah,
what are we thinking?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy looking back. It's like I would never do that. It's like, but I did.
Right, right, right. So you lost your job. How long ago was that you had lost it?
I lost my job. I lost it like I think it was 20, it was around 2013, 2012.
Okay.
And I didn't get it back until it was like almost 6 years later.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another thing that you said, that's what I wanted to say is when you were talking about, that you would stay sober for like 30 days, 90 days, like 90 days was it, like I can make it. Did you, just in the thought process, did you think, well, look, I quit for 89 days. I'm not really an alcoholic. I can quit if I want to. Did you ever think that way?
Yeah, I did. I felt like that. And then it was another thing was like I didn't drink like every day. It was like usually I
Okay.
would do like the binges. I'll go
Mhm.
like a weekend, I'll drink all weekend. And then a lot of times during the week I would be fine. I would go Monday through Friday without drinking. Friday night starts again. So it was just like so many things. Like I was like gathering evidence to show that I didn't have a problem so that I could go back to drinking. It was
Mm.
just, but I think, most people shouldn't have to worry about trying to come up with all these reasons why they,
Right.
don't have a
Right.
problem. They don't
Yeah.
have issues with it like that. So that was a sign right there.
Right, right. And when you said that too, I do talk, I'm glad you mentioned that about the binge drinking, because I will talk to a lot of people and they'll be like, even sticking up for their spouse or their siblings or parents or whatever, they're like, yeah, but they don't drink every day. They're not,
Mhm.
and they just go on a binge for 3 or 4 days. And then 3 days later, they're not shaking and wanting the alcohol. They're not an alcoholic. And I'm like, but you're not looking at the bigger picture of it. They just binged for 3 or 4 days. That's not normal. That is not a normal thing, And the
Yeah.
people will use that as an excuse a lot too, that
Oh
part
yeah.
of it. Like, well, they don't drink every day. Well, that doesn't mean they're not an alcoholic, And I give kudos to the people that can just go have a drink and then relax and chill. I could never do that. I work at the casino now, Charles, and sometimes when I will go pick up drinks at a table or something, that somebody left when they were playing, I'll pick it up and they'll be like, this much left in there. And I'm like, they're not an alcoholic because I would have never left that sitting there like that.
No.
But so I like that you said that too about the binge drinking, because people don't realize that can be, alcoholism too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's awesome. So you got your job back and then you were still drinking then at that time though?
When I first got my job back, I was still drinking. I was
Mm.
still playing with the doing the controlled drinking. And I was doing okay with it. It was like I was managing, but I noticed I was still, which I hadn't really touched on, still experiencing like depression, anxiety. I
Mm.
was still experiencing those things, but I was just, working through with it, trying to, just ignoring it. But I finally got to a point to where it was getting to like I was drinking so much after work some nights. It was like I would stay up all night drinking. I would buy a bunch of beer, drink it all night, get up in time to go to work because I was working evenings then, so it was like I could sleep during the day, then go to work. But it's just like I noticed that my drinking was like it was becoming to where I was drinking more like almost daily. And it wasn't just the binge drinking. It was like I was drinking almost every night. I would stop long enough to go to work. And then as soon as I get from work, I was going to the store. And I don't know, I started looking at myself. I was looking bad. It's like my health, I had gained a lot of weight. I was high blood pressure. Like I said, I was feeling depression. I was feeling anxiety when I would go to work and wasn't drinking, just feeling real anxious and nervous. And it just finally came to a point to where it's just like, oh, I got to do something. It's just like I felt
Mhm.
terrible on the inside, and I was like outside where I was looking, I was portraying that I was healthy, happy, but I was terrible, and I wasn't doing anything. I was just my day would consist of going to work, and then when I got off from work, I would drink all night, and then I would just kind of like lay around in the house all day. If I didn't have anything like specific that I had to do, I would just stay at home in bed, and then get up in time to go to work. And just finally hit me one day. I need to do something about it because it's not doing anything for me anymore. It was just
Right.
like the alcohol was just something that would carry me over till I go back to work the next day. And I
Right.
just finally I told a friend, and she was like, "Well, you need to talk to your mom because my mom was a nurse and well, she's retired now, but she was a psych nurse, so she worked in a lot of places
Okay.
dealing with addiction and stuff.
Mhm.
And so went to a place to get detox and didn't look back and made it past the 90 days. And it was just like, I was really nervous because it seemed like I always end up going to like detox or something. Like I always end up going like in the probably like around this time, like February, I just had my
Yeah.
had my anniversary. And it was like when the spring hit, it was just like that's when I would usually like realize it'd be like going to when everybody's back outside and everything.
Mhm.
So I was that first year was really nervous, but it was like on top of it, it was the COVID year, so it was a
Oh,
little
yeah.
different. It helped. It helped in a way because I didn't have anywhere to go.
Mhm.
It kind of helped me get through that point where I didn't really have anything to go. It was hard because I didn't have like I couldn't go to like as soon as I started, like the meetings were shut down. So
Right.
that took away something that I was like looking forward to. The meetings really gave me a lot to do. Like every day I would find somewhere to go.
Sure.
But it was it helped and it hurt. So but I made it past that summer. And once I got past that summer, it was like, okay, I started developing healthy habits, the exercise and everything that really came into play.
Mhm.
Like the gym closed, but I learned how to work out on my own. And I really got into just the like learning a lot about it. So I went to I went to school to get personal fitness personal training
Nice.
um certification and just started helping people. That's when I first started on Instagram. Was just I couldn't really do much service work when during COVID time, but
Right.
just posting and helping people online that helped out a lot. I felt like I was doing service work that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Especially the service work. I think that that's so important. I talk about that a lot just in general. Like we were put on this planet Earth to serve, really. That's what, and we all have a purpose and a gift, and it's figuring out what that purpose and gift is, you know. I listen to Steve Harvey a lot. He's like, your gift might be frying chicken, or it might be cutting lawns, you know, but you do have a gift and a purpose. So, and like I said, that's how I came across you, is just seeing somehow you popped up, probably because I work out too. So, you know, how they put all that together. So probably seeing that part of it. Cause I don't even think when I first started following you, I knew that you were sober. I think I saw that after a little while, but you know, it's something else. I know, mental health. Can we talk a little bit about mental health right now?
Yes, yes.
Because I really, 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 I have a passion for mental health, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I have a passion for men's mental health for some reason. And I think it's because I have a son. So my son's 33, but I feel like that's why I have more of that, because I feel like men have been told for so many years, you know, you don't talk about it, keep it to yourself, stop crying, you're going to be okay, man up, all the things that I'm sure you hear. And I
Yeah.
have heard too a lot in your culture, it is more prevalent that you do not talk about it, that mental health is something that you keep low, on the down low, right? And I do
Yeah.
love people are stepping up more and talking about their mental health. So when you talked about your a little bit like the depression, and of course alcohol is a depressant too, but did you do anything to help with that part of it, with your depression?
Yes, I actually and I did even when I was went back to my job, I started looking up the resources as far as like they had EAP and
Okay.
I started going through counseling through them because yes, because I knew a lot of it was I knew it might have been some chemical and then alcohol too, but I knew it was just a lot of the way I was thinking too.
Mhm.
A lot of times just not having not feel, I feeling like I wasn't where I was supposed to be, but then I wasn't doing anything about it. So that had a lot to do with my mental health and just feeling depressed. I just felt hopeless because it felt like I felt like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I just felt like I was living below what I was put on the earth to do.
Right.
But once I started going to counseling, just started building up that gratitude and then started, just start pushing towards like things that I wanted to do. And then I started helping other people. That was like big to like boost your mental. When you got goals to help other people, it's just like you stop thinking about yourself and you
Yeah.
once you start helping other people, it's just amazing how quick your mood will change. I mean, some days I wake up and I'm like down and I'm like, ooh, I got a job to go to. I'm like, it's exciting because I remember how much, how bad I felt when I didn't have a job.
Right.
And so it's just a lot of it just like the way you think about things.
Mm.
Because I was taking antidepressants for a while and it didn't do anything. It was like one big thing was I was drinking too. But it was just, it was a lot to do with my thinking also. It's just the way I looked at things. So
So,
yes, and then go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, and it was just like I just learned, really learned how to express myself by going to therapy and just talking. Because before, yes, being a man, you don't really talk about it. You don't. I have people that I like. I got nurses in my family, and all them worked in mental health, but never even talked to them about it. They never brought up stuff to people in the family about it. It was just like totally separate,
Mm, yeah.
and it's crazy. You right in the same household, right, same family, but still don't talk about it.
Right, right. And that's so crazy to me, just because and just from learning too, right? And when you said you were on antidepressants and you were drinking too, now, when they prescribed you, this is just my own thing here, people, just so nobody gets like, ugh. But when they prescribe that, did they tell you like you need to go to counseling too?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, that's good,
He,
because a lot of times they don't, and I've seen this a lot. Like, I have a few friends that they're like, I'm like, you're still so like, what is going on? They're like, well, my doctor put me on antidepressants. We're trying our third kind, and I'm like, well, are you seeing a counselor or anything? Oh, no, no. And I'm like, well, the pill's not going to cure you. You need
no,
to get in there and find out what is making you feel this way, and that's so important. And I'm glad that you said that they
yeah,
did have you do that, because a lot of times they definitely don't. So yeah.
yeah. Because a lot of people they'll go to their personal doctor, and the doctor will be like, okay, put you on pills. But I had went through a psychiatrist, so and he would send me to therapists
Okay.
also,
Oh,
because
yeah.
he was like, he's like, you got to work on both ends of it.
It's so important, and for people to hear that, working on both ends. And when you said about the gratitude, I'm a big gratitude person. Like, I talk about that all the time. My friend and I, we were just talking yesterday because she was having a few bad days, but she was like, she's like, then I woke up and I was like, okay, you have a house, you have your kids, you have your parents, you have a car to drive. I mean, there are so many things that we take for granted,
Yeah,
instead of looking and being like grateful for it. Like, oh, I got to stop and put gas in my car. Oh, I get to stop and put gas in my car. I have a car to put
exactly.
gas in,
You have
it's
money.
turning those things around and the gratitude of it. And I'm sure through your journey that I can almost positively guarantee you've gotten a message from somebody that said, hey, thank you. Your post today made me feel better today, or your
Yeah.
conversation or something.
Yes, and those I really sometimes I'm just surprised at the stuff that people say, because I'm like shocked. I'm like, wow, like I didn't think that much, because sometimes it'd be like some of the posts I don't even put a lot of thought into it. It's just something random, but people be like, oh wow, you just don't know how that touched me today, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow. And so
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point to where I'm like, at first I was like kind of inconsistent with stuff I was posting. It's like now it's like I make a point, I have something ready for the morning,
Mhm.
and kind of even do a theme or something, with the day. But yeah, those messages they really like inspire me to like just do more with it,
Yes.
because as you notice, like when I first started, I was more fitness. I think
Hmm.
when I first started posting, it was more fitness, and it was like that's I'm really into the fitness, but it's like it's so much fitness stuff anyway. I'm like, I
Right.
mean, I don't think people need another video of a new workout.
Right.
I think it's I can do a few workouts videos, but I think I just have more to share as far as like the mental aspects, just inspiring people, just motivating. A lot of
Yeah.
times I'll just go through and I'll look at other people posts and I'm like, oh, I can make a reel out of that, do a video, and it's just other people inspire me to do something. That's
Yeah.
it just carries over.
I
I really
agree.
like the community, that they have on Instagram, as far as just like seeing the same people and seeing the posts that they come up with. And it
Right.
is like it'll make me think of something totally different.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it,
Put
it
your own
means a lot.
twist on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's so cool. And so I don't know if you know who Trent Shelton is at all. If you've ever followed him.
I don't know. I have to look
Anyway,
him
he's a
up.
motivational speaker and things like that. But one of the things that he said years ago that has stuck with me is your transparency will lead to someone else's transformation. And when I heard that, that was when I became more transparent with who I really am and I what I went through to become who I am, because I feel like people will look and be like, oh yeah, he's sober 3 years, he works out, he's doing this, and they forget, like, but we went through these battles to get to where we're at. And if we share those and know that, hey, we're still standing today and we were able to get through those battles, that's when you're going to get that message from somebody too that's like, wow, what you posted today really hit home with me today. And like you said, sometimes it's like I just posted something, I can't remember what it was. It was just something like random, and it was short, and the one girl messaged me, she's like, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. And I was like, I knew someone needed to hear it. And if it was just that one person, and that's that service that we do.
Yes.
Yeah. So Then when did you start like your weight loss journey then? Was that when you got sober?
I started when I got sober. I stayed in the I was in the detox for about 7 days, and it was like as soon as I got out, it was like I need to do some things differently. I first when I first got out, I was like extremely like just craving sugar and stuff because you
Mm.
know how alcohol is. It's just
Oh, yeah.
it's you know the carbs and everything. So I was like eating, and then it's like I got to do better than that. I said because I'm gonna blow up, you know, even more. So it was like I just started going to the gym, and I just like changed my diet. Like I did it right away. It's like maybe like first 3 days. It's like okay, it's time to do something different with that. And I found myself I did so much better, you know, because I had always like going to the gym, but I would go to the gym. It was so inconsistent. It was like just a random day here, a random day there. But it's like once I got sober, it's like it became a routine. It was like I was going at the same time every day. And then once everything shut down with COVID,
Right.
I got me a little area in the backyard, and I just started working out every morning, same time, same place, you know. And it was just that was like another thing that like I was like grateful for to be able to do that, and it gave me goals to like look forward to, and that just like boosted my mood up a lot too. Just having those goals, and then just hitting little small goals every day is like okay, I'm losing a little bit of weight, starting to see you know a little definition and stuff, and that was just so much. That was really motivating, and it just kept me going. And now it's just like second nature. It's like that's part of my day. Is like I'm going to the gym either when I get off from work or before work.
Right.
I don't even put a lot of thought into it. That's just I know it's gonna be part of my day no matter
Right.
what.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to say, I want to give you kudos first and foremost, because quitting drinking right before COVID, and then going into COVID and having to be like, okay, now I can't go to meetings anymore. Okay, now I can't go to the gym anymore, which is giving me peace of mind and helping me. But instead of, which a lot of people would do, being like, forget it, I'm throwing in the towel. This isn't the year to do this because of all the things going on. And I know that through COVID, a lot of people became alcoholics and addicts through that part of, you know, the depression and all of that. So to give you kudos for like going, no, I'm ready to change my life. I do not want to live like that anymore. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I talk about this a lot, Charles, because I am not a victim person. I feel like I'm victorious, and that's the way that it is. And so many people sit back, play victim, and make excuses. And you are a true hero that does not do that, just so you know, because you easily could have, right? And I tell people all the time, we make the choice every day. You know, once you get through that detox, now you don't need that substance anymore once you get through that part of it, right? Maybe not 7 days, maybe a month later or whatever, but
Mhm.
you don't need that anymore. You're not physically anymore. Now it's all up here. And
Yep.
if you don't work on this up here, then you're probably not going to get through it. And if you lay and play victim all the time, you're probably not going to get through it either, you know. But you made that choice to change your life, and I just think that's awesome, you know. And you didn't make any excuses for it, so you were definitely ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was time.
yeah, yeah. And
And it
I
was
just,
like no matter what's going on the outside, it's like, okay, there's always a way. And you know, thank God for all the different technologies now. You know, that's when I discovered Zoom. Zoom really blew up then.
yeah,
And I would go to work and just like listen to meetings while I was at work. I couldn't participate because it's so loud in the building, but I
right,
would just listen. And that became, became the new normal, just the way I would go to meetings then.
yeah,
But
yeah. Now, do you
it's
go to
always a
meetings
way.
now?
I do occasionally. I don't go as much like as I was because I had before COVID, I had a Monday meeting that I was going to like religiously, and
Mhm.
then it closed. And so then I started going to different Zoom meetings, and now I'm more with the Zoom meetings. I like to listen to them at
Yeah.
work because at work I wear headphones, and
Oh,
so if
okay.
I'm not listening to music or audiobook, I have a meeting on. And and it's the community where you start hearing the same people on there, see the same faces a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to like going to the meetings. But
Right.
occasionally I will pop up in the meeting just to see some of the people. It's like a
Yeah.
reunion.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
And
just
it's good.
celebrated 3 years, you said, correct?
Just 3 years. Yes,
Good for
it
you.
was February 19th.
February 19th. And I love that you know your date. So, and I know a lot of people in recovery do, but when I have somebody getting sober new, I always tell them, first and foremost, don't you ever forget why you quit. And don't you ever forget how sick you were that day that you quit. Like in my head, I know on March 8th, the day before I quit, how sick I was. Well, actually, I know how sick I was March 9th when I did quit, but I will never forget even before that, like, and this is what I mean, the yellow bile I was vomiting, the shakes that I had, just all the things that I had, the sunken cheeks and everything. I'll never forget how I felt. I even now still, if I get sick, which doesn't happen very often, but if I vomit, I get in panic mode. Like, no, I cannot go back to that, even though I know I have to drink, but it just is that fear, So I tell people that, and I'm always like, don't ever forget your sobriety date. Don't forget that day that you changed your life, because that's a celebration for you,
It is.
And I think it's so important, because some people, I'll be like, so when did you get sober? And they'll be like, oh, and I'm like, and I hate to be like this, but usually I'm like, they're not going to stay sober. And 98% of the time they don't, because it wasn't that important to them.
It wasn't, yeah.
Right. It wasn't their time. Not that I don't think that everybody can get sober, but I don't think that it was their time. So yeah. So how much weight did you lose then after you, got done with drinking and then started working out and stuff like that?
It was like 30 pounds, about
Yeah.
30 pounds. It was definitely like a transformation, because at first it was like I was losing the weight, and then I just started seeing like muscle come on. It was just like, it was exciting. So it was like, that was just more motivation to keep going.
That's
And it was
awesome.
like, I did it so quickly. It was like about 5 or 6 months. And a big part of it was just, I dropped the alcohol and I changed my diet. It's like I did so much, in a short period of time to just change change the way my whole life had changed.
Right. And that's what it comes to, at the end of the day is, are we willing to make the changes to make better for ourselves? And something that you said too, you listen to Zooms on your headphones, you listen to music, and also audibles, books, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I tell people all the time, what we feed our brain is what's going to come out, right? And if you're constantly feeding somebody just said to me the other day something about the news, and I'm like, yeah. They said, oh, it's been all over the news, and I'm like, well, I don't really watch the news. And they got like angry at me. They're like, you have to watch the news, and I'm like, no, I don't. It's all negative. I just don't like it. And they're like, well, you need to know what's going on in the world, and I'm like, I'm not naive to what's going on in the world. I just don't fill my brain with negativity. My mind is getting filled with anything positive I can. If I hear of something negative that's going on, I will just drop and say a prayer right then. And then I have to let it go, because otherwise, what we fill our mind with is what's going to exuberate out of us, So what kind of audibles do you listen to?
I like to listen to like thrillers, mysteries. I listen to self-help. It's a wide range. But I like James Patterson, like the mystery thrillers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like detective series and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. So I appreciate you getting on here with me. I think it's been a little while ago since I messaged you, but I'm a consistent person, so I'll keep messaging somebody like, hey, I think and I always say that, the time to share your story is the time that we share your story. Sometimes it's, not meant to be, a couple months ago or whenever it was. So is there anything that you'd like to relate to anybody, just to, let them maybe know that they're not struggling alone and they can get through anything? Because you're definitely a proof that you can definitely get through anything.
Yeah, exactly. I hope everybody knows that they, if they don't know, it is a lot of help out there. I mean, especially like right now, you can go online, you can just type in anything, and it's a lot of free help, so you don't have to like suffer alone. The main thing is just to talk to someone, let someone know, and I think that was the biggest thing like that led to me like staying sober this time, was just me recovering out loud instead of like just doing it and not really telling people. I used to go out and people would be like, oh, why are you not drinking? And I'd be like, oh, I'm on medication, or I'll say, I'm on a fitness journey. I would never be honest to why, And I think once I started putting it out there and letting people know that, hey, I am, I'm an alcoholic, I'm gonna stop drinking, that people came, they were like, oh, okay, I understand, they would back off a lot quicker, and it just like, it kind of put more pressure on me, because like, okay, now they know. So if they see me in the store coming out with a beer, just like when you're on
Right,
a diet, when you let somebody know you're on a diet, people gonna offer free advice to be like, oh, you eating that, So it was kind of like that, just putting that pressure on myself. Once
sure,
I start putting it out there on social media, everybody knew. So it's like I can't let them down. And
right.
I think that really carried me through like the early days, when you are, kind of gritting and bearing through it. So it's just I think it's good to open up and let people know if you do feel like you have a problem, just to get it started. It's like once you get it started, then you're like the ball will keep rolling. But if you
Mhm.
like kind of keep it to yourself, it's easy to go back, when you keep it inside of yourself.
Right. And I want to say about what you said about recovering out loud, there's more people now that finally are doing that. If I don't know if you're on TikTok or not, but there is a huge recovery on TikTok, man. It is like blowing up, and it's so cool to see people recovering out loud and supporting each other. And you
Yes.
get the people on there too that, why do you talk about your sobriety all the time? Well, why wouldn't I? Because it might help
Yeah.
one person. And something I think I've noticed too that you do, actually I have noticed, is that you do let people know just because you're sober doesn't mean that you don't have fun and live life still.
Oh yeah. There's a
Because
lot of
some
great
people are
things about
like, well, I can't get sober because I won't be able to have any fun anymore. And if you follow me at all, you know that I'm always out there. I'm dancing and, just loving life, because I want
it. Yeah.
people to know, no, you still can have fun. You probably have more. I always tell my friends, I have more fun now and I remember everything I did now. So
That's the big part.
yeah, yeah. So that's it. Like, you're still living life and loving life and enjoying life. Before
Yeah.
you had to have a drink in order to be out there and be Charles, just to fit in, or however you felt, with that
Yeah.
mask on you. And now you can just be out there and be Charles without having
Yeah.
that mask on. So
Yeah.
I tell people too, you know what you're going to get with me. If I go out with you and we go out dancing or something, I'm not going to turn into a drunken fool that's falling all over the place or something, right?
Yeah.
That I'm just gonna be me, and I think that's important too. So
Yes.
yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate you getting on here. Like I said, you're stuck with me forever now as a friend. And I hope,
Thanks.
I always tell people too, I love to come back and re-interview, after 6 months, a year or something, just see where you're at in life and what's going on. And real quick, I didn't ask, how old are your daughters?
My daughter, I actually have a daughter and son.
Oh, daughter
My
and son.
daughter,
So you did say two kids.
yes, my daughter, she's 20, and my son, he's 16.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Those are good ages, right? They're past that little 13-year-old.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's like okay, now they're going off on their own. My son, my daughter, she's in school, and then my son, he wants to go into the Navy. So
awesome.
yeah.
Good, good. All right. Well, I appreciate you getting on here, Charles. Everybody, thank you so much for getting on Hope. I hope that maybe Charles' story will be the one that you hear that gets you out of bed today. Maybe you are dealing with alcoholism or addiction of some sort, and maybe his story will be like, yes, Charles did this. I can do this too. That's my only hope for all of you, to know that you do not struggle alone, that there is help out there everywhere. Like Charles said, man, there is free help everywhere nowadays. So just, reach out to someone, whether it's me, whether it's Charles, whether it's somebody else that that whatever it is you're struggling with, grief or anything, and just know that you're not alone and we're here to help. And I hope everybody has an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Hope.
Thank you.